never inhabited this earth, the early Merkava mystic tradition says exactly what the LDS tradition says, that angels used to be people who were on this earth. This is a very interesting idea. And now some egomaniac, as Morton Smith says, he has found his way. And here's the hymn. Here's the hymn at Qumran. I want to read this to you because Alan Segal. I keep wanting to call him Steven Segal. Alan Segal has the same hymn he analyzes in the next chapter. Here's the poem from the Dead Sea Scrolls. El Elyon gave me a seat among those perfect forever, a mighty throne in the congregation of the gods. None of the kings of the east shall sit in it, and their nobles shall not come near to it. No Edomite shall be like me in glory, and none shall be exalted save me, nor shall come against me. For I have taken my seat in the congregation in the heavens, and none find fault with me. I shall be reckoned with gods, and established in the holy congregation. I do not desire gold, as would a man of flesh. Everything precious to me is in the glory of my God. The status of a holy temple, not to be violated, has been attributed to me, and who can compare me with glory? What voyager will return and tell of my equivalent? Who laughs at griefs as I do? And who is like me in bearing evil? Moreover, if I lay down the law in a lecture, my instruction is beyond comparison with any man's. And who will attack me for my utterances? And who will contain the flow of my speech? And who will call me into court and be my equal? In my legal judgment none will stand against me. I shall be reckoned with gods, and my glory with that of the king's sons. Neither refined gold nor gold of Ophir can match my wisdom. Pretty astonishing. Morton Smith asks, who is this new-made deity with all these human virtues? He asks that on page 297. He notes the influence of speculation about deification by ascent into the heavens, speculation probably connected with magical practices that produced extraordinary experiences, is understood as encounters with gods or angels. In the Enoch books and in the legends about the ascension and enthronement of Moses, we can see these very ideas. You notice on page 298, whether the claims made by the author of 4Q491 are completely false, or whether they reflect hallucinations he actually experienced, we have no way of knowing. Notice how Morton Smith downplays this. Hallucinations. See, Alan Segal doesn't look at it that way at all. This is not just a mere hallucination. This is a valid religious experience, as he says in his book, Paul the Convert, and as I've noted in my former podcast. The interesting thing is, in either event, they prove that 50 or 60 years before Jesus' crucifixion, men in Palestine were actually making claims of the sort that John was attributed to Jesus. E.R. Goodenough, who argued for years that the fourth gospel expressed an early Palestinian theology derived from mystical Judaism, was a voice crying in the stacks at the Yale Library. Everybody, even myself, thought he was riding his hobby horse too far. Now I must wonder. Boy, there's power for archaeological information on the Dead Sea Scrolls, huh? Well, Alan Segal, in chapter 12 of Charlesworth's text, The Risen Christ and the Angelic Mediative Figures in Light of Qumran, he also discusses these angel Christologies. On 303, he notes very many different scholars developed the important ideas of Jewish mysticism before Christianity. Even Kretschmar argued that Christian Trinitarian doctrine was deeply influenced by Jewish speculations about principal angels, though he dealt mainly with the 2nd and 3rd centuries of the Common Era. Jane Danielou wrote an enormously influential volume on Jewish Christianity. His main object was to illustrate those Christian doctrines which appeared to reflect the Jewish doctrines rather than the Greek or the philosophical doctrines. Hugh Odeberg and N.A. Dahl both suggested the importance of Jewish mysticism in the rise of Christianity, and what they stressed was the importance of angelic mediation. Gilles Crispel wrote extensively on the relationship between Jewish mysticism and early Christology and Gnosticism. Very interesting how he says the human figure is best understood as an angel. He says that on page 305. Now, back on page 304, what is remarkable is also in the Dead Sea Scrolls, Melchizedek appears in a document called the 11Q Melchizedek, where he is identified with Elohim of Psalm 82:1. And this gives us yet another variation on the theme of an angel identified with the divine name. Thus, Michael is God's mediator and general archistrategos, and Eremiel appears in the Apocalypse of Zephaniah, in which he is mistaken for God. In the Ascension of Isaiah, an angel appears whose name cannot be given. And now we have Melchizedek. He is the favored angelic name in the Dead Sea Scroll fragment 11Q Melchizedek. So all of the patriarchs, Moses and Enoch and Melchizedek, all of them are getting into this. Ezekiel sees this. It's very interesting how the human is connected with the divine here. And of course the idea is when they receive their ascension and they are seated on the throne of glory, they shine as the stars in heaven. This is Daniel 12:3. Segal says that on page 305. At the end of the parables of Enoch, in 1 Enoch, chapter 70 and 71, Enoch is mystically transformed into the figure of the Son of Man on the throne. He says, "My whole body mollified, and my spirit transformed." Segal says this is an extraordinarily important event, as it underlies the importance of mystical transformation between the adept and the angelic vice-regent of God, giving a plausible explanation of how the Qumran sectaries that produced the visions in Daniel expected themselves to be transformed into stars. Indeed, now it is possible to say that 1 Enoch 71 gives us the experience of an adept undergoing the astral transformation prophesied in Daniel chapter 12, verse 2. Very interesting here. Page 306, here's something else Segal notes. The angelic forms of dead heroes, martyrs, and patriarchs were viewed as fulfillments of the prophecies in Daniel, since Enoch quotes that terminology in describing them. They are the angelic forms of dead heroes. This is the angel Moroni theme again, you see. And they are to shine as the stars. They'll shine as the stars of heaven, according to 1 Enoch 104:2. The unpublished Qumran scroll shows further evidence that humans could ascend to divine status. And then he quotes Morton Smith again about 4QM, where he says, El Elyon gave me a seat among those perfect forever. Now, when he looks at Smith's translation, he says it appears careful, and his reconstructions appear conservative. This is on page 308. I am convinced that they are correct, and that we have evidence that the mystics at Qumran believed that they were one company with the angels, whom they called the B'nai Elohim, that is, the sons of God. These mystics must have achieved this unity through some rite of translation and transmutation. If that is so, ought we not to count the wisdom of Solomon 5:5? Why has he been numbered among the sons of God? And why is his lot among the saints? As another example of deification, or as I would prefer to call it, angelification. It's very interesting. They keep talking about these angels and angelification. This is pure deification. This is man becoming God. The terminology is angel, but it is definitely the switch, the transition, the added up on from humanity into the realm of divinity. We are part and parcel of the divine. There's no question about that here now. Furthermore, the technical term glory is used to describe the splendor of the transformed person, just as Paul uses the term in his description of the transformed Christian. He says that on page 308.